together as the one presence expressing itself in absolute harmony, joy, generosity, kindness, love, wholeness, peace. Oh, just this joyful one expression, no separate eyes, just that one eye. And we extend love to not just here, but all the same parts of the one eye that's maybe watching this this meeting afterwards or at the time. So I shall read out this poem that I was given, which is quite self-explanatory. On Thursday, food poisoning had rendered me violently ill. My body felt like it had been ground through a mill. It was a kind of torture, and I thought I would die. But then I looked at Jesus, and in him the healing lied. There was a sudden explosion, the details I won't share, but a miracle occurred as a result of this prayer. From thence was the healing, and I started to recover. And as I inquired into this, I came to discover how the healing came about. And what is prayer really? Because to me, it was a miracle. As I saw clearly, it's about the sacred pause from the mental neurosis. In turning to Jesus, I was freed from the hypnosis. Just in that second of appealing to a higher power, surrender occurred and saved the hour. Not through my thinking of any spiritual thoughts, but just stopping for that moment re-established my source. I saw there was an arrogance and a lack of humility in moaning and groaning, and only seeing the futility of all my human efforts with the crisis unabated, and my mind caught in a drama which it escalated. Yet, when I asked Jesus for healing and gazed at his image, first there was an eruption and then an end to the scrimmage. I cancelled all my plans that had seemed so inviting, to play music with friends, which would have been so delighting. Instead, I've been mute and still for days. But the peace has been extraordinary, as my gaze has been solely on him, the Christ within. And here I am, convalescing in my garden by the stream, absorbing the sunshine in this rapturous dream, with permission to drop all my agendas so demanding, feeling a peace that goes beyond understanding. And now a duck's quacking, and now the garlic smell of cooking. God's materializing everywhere, wherever I am looking. Yes, we can give ourselves the luxury of an empty mind, a secret, sacred pleasure that heals ills of every kind. In this peace, there's no loneliness, no sense of something missing. Time spent in God dispels all my wishing for more things or less things, or things to be somehow moved or changed. In the kingdom within, nothing needs to be rearranged. Instead, I feel looked after, companioned, and sustained, lacking nothing, needing no one so that I can be maintained. Even the most perfect soulmate could actually intrude on this feeling of love in which I'm imbued. It's so intimate, so mysterious. It's too hard to describe. I wouldn't want to search for words or even to try. So, this picture that I looked at is a painting that I'm sure you'll have all seen. It's ever so famous. It's by Akian Kramaric, who started to see Jesus and visions of heaven. And there's loads um, on YouTube about her. And she started from when she was born, actually. And her most productive year really was when she was just 8. And now she's 29, I think. And she goes on. And when I first saw this image years ago, I rejected it because I thought it just looked like Barry Manilow. And I thought, I don't think bless you, Barry Manilow, should you ever see this. But it was never my idea of Jesus. So I kind of rejected this image entirely. And then what brought me back to it within only the last week or so was that I watched a film for the second time. For the first time, I watched many years ago. Anyway, I watched it for the second time, and it's a film called Heaven is for Real, which stars Greg Kinnear, who's one of my favorite actors and apparently one of the nicest people in Hollywood, you know. Anyway, he's in this film, and it's a true story about a family who had a little boy who went to heaven and came back, and he'd seen Jesus, he'd seen his father's grandfather, all sorts of things, amazing things. It's a wonderful film. And you know, his father kept us showing him different images and pictures and photos and paintings of Jesus that people had done over the years. And the little boy just kept saying, no, 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 that's not him. But then later, when he was shown Akian's painting of Jesus, he said, "That's him. That is," and he just recognized him. So this made me go back to the film, go back to the painting, and learn as much as I could about Akian, which has just been amazing. And I've bought a book that's got her poems and her paintings and her mother's version of how it's been for them in the family. And then I started to really look at this painting. And for me, I've just found it utterly incredible because the Christ, Jesus, as we know, is neither insiders or outsiders. It is us, but also not us. And that in that is the mystery, isn't it? Because we can't say it's outsiders or insiders, but it is us and not us. And in that little in us, in that junction between the inner, in us and not us, is where the mystery is. And you come to a place of no words and I don't know. But all I know is that I've been spending all these few days, and I've not been able to help just gazing at this painting. And then when I've shut my eyes, I've felt as though it's been painted on me. Really extraordinary feeling that I'm almost wearing him. So so all this happened before I got sick the other day, before Thursday. And when I just couldn't bear the nausea and the everything connected with it anymore, I just looked at that picture. And I did, of course, what we know not to do. You know, we know from being fans of Joel that we don't petition God, we don't ask Jesus, we don't ask for things to happen. But I did. You know, when the rubber meets the road, we ask. So I looked at that painting and I said, "Oh, Jesus, please heal me. I can't stand this anymore." And then that's when everything, the healing miracle happened. It really does. And that's why I went into such depth in this poem to try and understand, well, what had happened then? Because I did petition, I did ask. Am I thinking that that helps come from outside, inside? And then in the end, I thought, what the hell does it matter? I got the help, you know? And I'm so grateful for it. And I've been grateful ever since. But no, it's just been interesting. I'll shut up in a minute because I'd love to hear what you all say. But it's just been so interesting for me to delve deeply into how this works. And it it kind of brings me always to a loss of words. So can you just put the first page back again, Joni? Well, the beginning, is it? Yeah. Um, so oh yeah, I'll just read this first section again. Right. So on Thursday, food poisoning had rendered me violently ill. My body felt like it had been ground through a mill. It was a kind of torture, and I thought I would die. But then I looked at Jesus, and in him, the healing lied. There was a sudden explosion, the details I won't share, but a miracle occurred as a result of this prayer. From thence was a healing, and I started to recover. And as I inquired into this, I came to discover how the healing came about and what is prayer really. Because to me, it was a miracle. As I saw clearly, it's about the sacred pause from the mental neurosis. In turning to Jesus, I was freed from the hypnosis just in that second of appealing to a higher power. Surrender occurred and saved the hour, not through my thinking of any spiritual thoughts, but just stopping for that moment re-established my source. So if you can remove the share now, that'd be great. Thanks. So it's surrendering to that higher power. This is my take on it, you know. And just having nothing left of me that could interfere. And I'd like to say and trust, but I actually don't know if the trust was there because I was so far gone with the distressing physical feelings. I don't know if the trust was there, but I suppose it must have been there. Otherwise, I wouldn't have turned to Jesus. But in the end, it kind of doesn't matter, but it also does. It's like the thing is, it was about utter surrender, having nothing left. It's like there's no arrogance then, there's nothing left. So I'll shut up now because Lynn, I'd love to hear what you say there.
Okay, so this is beautiful. Thank you so much, Mandy, for the beautiful poem and absolutely I have been there on many occasions, and so this is not unusual to me, and I know that Joel and other great teachers have said, God's not really involved here. So, center yourself and recognize, whatever, do all these different things, whatever. But A Course in Miracles in the Manual for Teachers, in section 23, says, it's called, Does Jesus Have a Special Place in Healing? Have you read this?
Yes, but a long time ago, so I'm
Okay. I'm
minding on
just going to
that.
read you a little bit of it, all
Please,
right?
yes,
Because
yes.
this is absolutely God's gifts can rarely be received directly. Even the most advanced of God's teachers will give way to temptation in this world. Would it be fair if their pupils were denied healing because of this? The Bible says, ask in the name of Jesus Christ. Is this merely an appeal to magic? A name does not heal, nor does an invocation call forth any special power. What does it mean to call on Jesus Christ? What does calling on his name confer? Why is the appeal to him part of healing? We have repeatedly said that one who has perfectly accepted the atonement for himself can heal the world. Indeed, he has already done so. Temptation may recur to others, but never to this one. He has become the risen Son of God. He has overcome death because he has accepted life. He has recognized himself as God created him, and in so doing has recognized all living things as part of him. And so this is really how we do how Joel's teaching is recognizing the Christ within ourselves, the Christ within our brothers, and recognize our oneness. There is no limit on his power because it is the power of God. So has his name become the name of God, for he no longer sees himself as separate from him. What does this mean for you? It means that in remembering Jesus, you are remembering God. The whole relationship of the Son to the Father lies in him. His part in the sonship is yours also, and his completed learning guarantees your own success. Is he still available for help? What did he say about this? Remember his promises and ask yourself honestly whether it is likely that he will fail to keep them. Can God fail his Son? And can one who is one with God be unlike him? Who transcends the body has transcended limitation. Would the greatest teacher be unavailable to those who follow him? The name of Jesus Christ as such is but a symbol, but it stands for love that is not of this world. It is a symbol that is safely used as a replacement for the many names of all the gods to which you pray. It becomes the shining symbol for the Word of God, so close to what it stands for that the little space between the two is lost. The moment that the name is called to mind, remembering the name of Jesus Christ is to give thanks for all the gifts that God has given you. And gratitude to God becomes the way in which he is remembered, for love cannot be far behind a grateful heart and a thankful mind. That's a little poem. Love cannot be far behind a grateful heart and a thankful mind. God enters easily, for these are the true conditions for your homecoming. So, and there's more. I'm not going to go on because it does take a while. But yeah, it's call on the name of Jesus. You're remembering God. This is not a fantasy. This is not some kind of magic. It's saying, I remember something that's really important, and that's the only way that I'm going to be healed is by connecting with that something. And if that's the way you do it is by calling on Jesus. He says, please do so because that's what I'm here for. So thank you, Mandy, for I love that your example is perfect for this.
But thank you so much for reading that out. I and everybody that hears this will benefit from hearing that because that was a lovely, beautiful reminder. I mean, that's kind of what I was working out in the poem, trying to work out, in that surrendering and but that's really helped me that to hear that. I mean, absolutely, it's the remembrance of that higher power. It's that remembrance of and everything that you just read out. I'm so grateful that you did that and really helped me. That has. Thank you so much. I loved that. I loved listening to that. Thank you. So which part was it again? I'm just going to write it down.
It's section 23 of the Manual for Teachers.
Oh, great. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I feel like I've read it kind of recently, but completely forgotten it. You know? And anyway, it hasn't been recent. It hasn't been recent. It's been much further back than section 23 of Manual for Teachers of Course in Miracles, of course. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, John. Yeah, go ahead. Thank you again, Lynn.
Thanks, Mandy, and thanks, Len, for your contributions. And I just want to say, well, I do want to say that, and it's not just. I want to say, I'm not going to give you a long script or anything, but for me, it's a clear example of being in service to spirit and spirit being in service to you. And all there is just a tiny little asking involved, or even an image of asking for help and a willingness to receive it, and it's done. It's like it's a miracle. And so it's as simple as that for me. And but it's a beautiful testament to the service of demonstration of you and your service. So I mean, this is huge. And your willingness to share and write poems about it is it's spreading the news. It's like a virus. So I'm super grateful for this, for hearing this. And witnessing this is it's so important. The other thing I got to say, and the other point I want to make is it's about Lynn going away. It's having this opportunity to go away, and I just there's something stuck in my craw. What's wrong with it if she wants to stay and look after her people, if she's got these things? To me, there's nothing wrong with that at all. I think that's so beautiful. That she's got this quote dilemma now, but she's got to face a few things here, and that's beautiful. I don't see anything wrong that's got to be fixed or anything. I just want to.
That's true. Yeah.
Just all those resistances is so beautiful, and I love to hear them. So, and in saying that, I got a meeting to go to in 7 minutes, and I'm sorry I have to leave early today, but I just wanted to express those 2 points. But especially for the witnessing of your miracle, Mandy, that is over the top. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, and I'm really glad that you were able, John, to be here to make those 2 points, because you're absolutely right, and we do forget that. And Lynn, it's true. Just for anybody watching, Lynn's got the opportunity for a holiday, and she's been in two minds about it. It's the quickest way to say it, I think. And so we've been, and I've been. So I said, "Oh, you must go, you must go." And John's just made this good point that, in a way, whether you go or you don't go, it's all the same to God, isn't it? It's all the same to God, and you shouldn't put yourself under any pressure. So I completely agree with that. No pressure. It's absolutely unnecessary, and you'll just let things unfold. That's the thing. And yeah.
And thank you for that, and thank you for that, John. And thank you for that. God bless you. Because I don't know if anybody here can even fathom the way that I feel about you and the people that I see every day that are part of my unfolding and opening and awakening. This is like, to me, it's like being in the most precious place in the world, surrounded by angels, and to even think about leaving you all. Even though I would, she says we have great internet, you'll be able to do, but they're on a opposite timeline. So right now it's nighttime there. And so, I would be, I mean, that doesn't bother me. I don't mind that, because I wake and sleep anytime I want to. But yeah, it's the dilemma is not because, it's because I just love this so much, and it's hard for me to, think of something else. So anyway, thank you, John. I bless you for saying that.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you. Yes, Joni.
Thanks. Thank you both. And whether it's a physical thing or an opportunity, like when I watched the show and really just focused in on the last part of David and Goliath, there was a point where in his journey, he was overcoming not only his own level of fear, and not only all the voices outside laughing at him, saying, "Oh, he's going to be obliterated," and he's used his ego abilities. David's like, half pint, and he's running with his stone, and the spears of Goliath are coming at him, and eventually he's still giving it his all in the form. He eventually gets nicked on his side by one of the spears, and he falls to the ground. And in your poem, it says, I clearly saw it's about the sacred pause from the mental neurosis. In turning to Jesus, David's mental neurosis was stopped physically by a spear, but either way, he stopped. He was freed from the hypnosis of form and ego. And just in that second of knowing, through appealing to the higher power, the surrendering, he could no longer do anything in form, in ego. The surrender occurred and saved the hour, not through his doing, not through his thinking, not through his ego, but of any spiritual thoughts, but just stopping for that moment. He had to be speared and whatever, but he in that moment reestablished his source. And you demonstrated this. For me, it's not about the asking, it's about what you said, the surrendering. And we're given opportunities upon opportunities every moment, every day, to choose to surrender completely. And of course, I don't do that, but I am willing. And I just want to say that's what that demonstration showed to me. And
yeah, I think it was a close conjunction, because that's what gave me that surrender. That you've said that so beautifully, and thank you for pointing that out, because in asking, it was surrendering it. It was just letting it go from that neurosis and giving it to that higher power. But this whole thing about dilemma that Lynn's brought up, and I think it's a beautiful thing to bring up, because whether you've got a dilemma about a decision you're going to make, of course, there are no decisions in God, so there aren't any dilemmas, really, are there? But we've got a dilemma going, or we might be sick and we ask for help. It's just about being so focused in the now, moment by moment, that the answer starts to become clear, doesn't it? I mean, so after this poem and finding how wonderfully well it worked, asking Jesus for help, I decided to ask him a few more things. Like, I was still determined after a few days to go to this music practice that's in another town, but I felt that I could participate, but I couldn't drive over there. It was too much to drive over there and participate. So then I was mucking about, really. It's really naughty. But I said, thank you for having Clarissa, that's my friend, ring me up and say that she would be delighted to give me a lift. So this came about. My friend, she rings me up and she says, I was just thinking, Mandy, I know you've been through this thing. I can give you a lift if you like. So I thought, oh, thank you, right? So I said yes and everything. But the moment I put the phone down, I knew that this was all my own creating, because I didn't feel well enough to go. Our practices, there's a lot you have to apply yourself, and it's lovely, but it's hard work. We're learning quite difficult tunes. And I thought, I can't even think, I couldn't remember how to make a cup of tea, never mind learn a new piece of music. This is ridiculous. So I had self-created a very silly dilemma, because in my heart, I knew I wasn't well enough to go. So I had no business even asking a higher power to help me out with something that I knew wasn't right. It was almost like I was given it just to show me what a fool I was. So I had to ring her back then and say, oh, it's really kind of you, but I think it's very silly of me. So I think the answer is no, but thank you. And I felt like a little kid that had its hand slapped, and it was fun. It made me laugh, like we say, it's cute. It's just so cute. But really, we just put too much on ourselves and not enough onto this higher power, onto the higher power that we are, onto Jesus, just by simply asking and let it go. That is an act of humility, isn't it? So, you know, yeah, we don't actually have to make any decisions, because otherwise most of our decisions are to do with what Rafi, you were saying about, you know, it's either control or approval or, you know, those things. It's usually along those lines, isn't it? When we're trying to make a dilemma or a decision or trying to get well. But I'm still glowing from that piece you read out, Lynn. I've really loved that. I'm going to read it again afterwards. I just found that fabulous to hear. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mandy. And I just wanted to say, you know, that a lot of times we as Course in Miracles students, you know, we don't think about asking Jesus for help. Even though he tells us over and over and over and over in the book, I'm here for you and I'll do whatever I'll do it for you. You don't even have to do it. I'll do it for you, whatever needs to be done. Just let me take care of it. And, you know, that's the amount of letting go that we're unwilling to do. I say we, mostly, yeah, we're unwilling to let go and put ourselves in somebody else's hands. You know, we're you know, not willing to you know, be in the wheelbarrow that someone's pushing across the tightrope, uh, because we want to be in control. So you know, I think it's so lovely to know that we can just ask and there's really no dilemmas. It's always well taken care of no matter what, and perfectly. So you know, what a beautiful gift that is. And
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to agree with you, because the thing is that you know, you can get your knickers in a twist all about kind of, you know, oh, we were told not to ask. Yes, we can ask. No, we can't ask. Yes, we can ask. Oh, but am I petitioning? Am I really just got to let it go? And if we want to ask, we ask, you know. And honestly, yeah, like you found, it always gets answered. So there's something going on that's really, you know, absolutely. I love that. Thank you so much. Oh. Sharon, Lynn, sorry, did you want to carry on, Lynn?
no, I didn't. No.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Sharon, yeah, hi.
Hi, everybody. Hi to you, Mandy. I was a few minutes, I'll call it late. And so I just got in on the last of your story.
Sharon, Sharon, you're a bit muffled. Could you go maybe nearer the microphone? Yeah. Now you're muted.
Well,
Oh, perfect.
it worked now? Okay.
Crystal clear.
Sorry, I had a separate microphone going earlier and I didn't turn it off, and it was anyway. Lynn, I was a little bit late to your story, but I'm hearing that you've been offered something that is just marvelous, but you think that what you're doing is just marvelous, and leaving it behind even for a while would not be marvelous. And I can, yeah, I can connect with all that. And so many times I have said, back when I was in ACIM, it was like, Holy Spirit, you're just going to have to take care of it because I cannot. And then forget it. There are a couple things that I don't forget, and those don't resolve easily because I keep snatching them back off the altar. But the things that I let go of are just amazingly taken care of. And you know, I think for me, Jesus, Mary, they're one. I'm one with them, makes me the divinized human. And it's I don't know how to do that. So I still just call for help all the time. I mean, all the time. And I think it'll be resolved perfectly just the way you want it. Something will shift. I've been amazed at how, oh, I can't come here. Okay, fine, great. I can go on and do this other thing that I wanted to do. Or clients would call and say, I'm late. And I go, oh, thank you so much. I haven't printed out everything and done all the other. And so it's lovely how it works. It really is. And when Sebastian, this is just me. So when Sebastian started, he came up with the age of the heart and the age of the Mother Mary. At that point, she became my focus because in my life, my mother disappeared in my life. And so at a time when I really needed a mother. And so that was the image that I began to associate with the most, that caring, tender, loving part that could give me what I didn't have back then. So that's kind of where I am. And I get confused. Sometimes I go, well, Jesus, I haven't left you behind. And I thought, Sharon, they're all one. Forget it. They know this and they know that, and you don't have to worry about it. But that stuff is so stuck in my head from childhood. There's Jesus, there's Mary, there's God, there's the Holy Spirit. I'm thinking, okay, there's four there. And never once back then was there any, they talked about oneness, but they never told you about it. And so it became difficult to manage. But at this point, Mother God and I get along just fine. So I have an infamous air conditioning story. One night I passed by my air conditioner and it was hot. And I have what I call a mechanical closet where the air handler is and everything. And I said, oh God, I know I'm going to need a new air conditioning system soon. And I don't want to pay for it. And I thought, ha. And I just forgot it because it was, it just wasn't happening. I didn't need it then. And that winter came and it hailed and it snowed and it did all these awful things. And so we got roofs, of course. And in the insurance thing, because of our units are on roofs, you have to lift the unit off the roof. And when you do that with an old unit, it tips out all the gas. And an old unit uses the R22, which they don't let you use anymore. And so because of that, you get a new air conditioner, an outside unit and an inside unit. And I thought, oh my God, I don't have to pay for it. So that's my story about that.
Good story.
Yeah. So thank you for listening to me.
No, I think it's really interesting what you said, because I think we've all had that, because whether whatever kind of religion that we've been brought up with at school, particularly, whether it's Catholic, Christian, what have you, a number of other things, these holy beings are seen as separate beings. So, it's kind of a life's work to sort of really, if we're honest, understand exactly what oneness is. Actually, we'll never understand it. We're always learning. And I think it was Herb Fitch, that said, well, when you die, that's when you're just beginning. So we're not even on the beginner's step here, because it's enough to just learn to be present and, take these short moments and surrender. The rest is just constantly learning and falling down and learning, which makes it very exciting, really. I mean, even when it's tough, I always find that every day's like Christmas because you just never know what's going to happen or what's going to arise in your consciousness, you know. But this, what I found that it has many facets. So Mary, for me, was very strong for me when I was doing this Choose Only Love album, and she was there all the time. She was there when my dog died, when I was devastated. She was so strongly there. That was a facet of God called Mary Mother that I really related to at that time because I needed that mother energy. And so the face of God, the love of God, knew that's what I needed, and that's what came forth for me, you know. So, and then recently it's been Jesus. I can't really tell them apart, except that that's what's there at the moment, and that's what's guiding me, and you know, so it could be any being, because we'll never actually see the face of God, as it were. So it has different faces. In fact, I'm looking at all these faces right here. These are the faces of God right here, of course, you know. Hello, Rabina. There's Rabina having such a lovely smile. I just had to say hello. It's very nice to see you. So
Thank you, Mandy. I do have something to say. You know, I think we're talking about prayer. I came in late, and Jesus Christ, our Father, Mother, God, as I call it. Are we talking about prayer, or am I off?
That's absolutely, we're talking about that and all of it. Yeah.
Yeah, my prayer has changed through time, through Catholic school, and through part of my adulthood, now to my aging adulthood, is prayer to accept what is, prayer for learn how to forgive, and prayer of gratitude, and that has helped me immensely, I think, in the last 3-4 years, is to accept what is, because I used to think I could change it, or I'd pray to ego. That would be a big one, which we know where that gets us. So, but thank you. That's it.
No, that's it. That's huge. You know, that's I mean, that's exactly the reason that I call my book "Is-ness is Your Only Business," because it's about what is, you know. Everything else is illusion. It's, you know, because it's always is, isn't it? Which is the same as it's always now, it's always here, it's always now, it's always is. So there's no point worrying about what's happening next, because there's no next, and there never was a before. There is only is. And to me, for me, the whole of my life is to get as is as possible, to just be with what is, you know, to keep adjusting my steering wheel to what is. So thank you very much for that. That's and when we meditate, the more is we are, and the more that we lose other kind of thinking or forcing it, that when we're just in that is, then we're in that space where God, Mary, Jesus, whatever can get through. So yeah, Rabina, thank you so much. Yeah, lovely.
But in the words of Joni, remind me in 5 minutes.
Remind you to be present, do you mean, in 5 minutes? Yes, we all need that.
All the above, yeah.
All the above, yeah, yeah. Oh, that's lovely. You can just have some isness now. Although I do want to just say that waiting on God. Oh, sorry, Rafi, carry on. No, Rafi.
Validating all of that as tests during the Zoom meeting is something that I heard I read that Robert Adams said, and Lester said as well. and Jesus, of course, that to surrender everything over to the divine omnipresence, that which we call God, beingness, consciousness, whatever name you give it, you can only allude to it. You can't really name it till you experience that you are it. But they all said the same thing. If you have trouble doing that, then give it to me. Lester said it. Robert Adams said, just I'll take it from you.
Lovely.
Render it to me. I'll take care of it for you.
Yeah.
And you're right, getting right back to surrendering again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And another master said, you think it's important about where you live, what you do for a living, where you're gonna go, what you're gonna do, what you're gonna do. And he says, forget all that and just let it unfold as it will. Just let it be as it will. Because none of that's important. What's important is our primary purpose, is to rediscover the truth of what we really are. And all of that stuff is leading to it. So whether or not Lynn goes to Bali is not the issue. A perfect example came up to me, was so silly. Last week, I said, oh, I have to get my license renewed. I have to go to the DMV. Well, I'll do that on Monday. 15 minutes later, I was in my car on the way there. So I just kept letting go. An awful lot of wanting security and control came up, and I just kept letting it go and letting it go and letting it go. And I got there, and the lines were a mile long. And I said, this is a perfect way to show being now. That's what's going to happen when the line moves, or how long it's going to take me to get, to where I got to be on this line. To just be patient now. Just be now. Whatever came up, let it go. And love everybody here. Just keep loving and 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 loving it. And before I knew it, I was up to the window. I mean, it took hours, literally over 2 hours. But it was like there was no 2 hours. And I was at the window, and the woman was questioning my vision. Beingness said the right words through me. I didn't know what I was going to say in my mouth. The right words just came out. All of a sudden, I was handed the thing. Thank you. Go to the window, get your picture taken. Thank you. When I got on the line to go to the window, there were two men there, a white father and a black son. Well, I was a white father who had a black son. So I was looking at me. And we started kidding around. And then all of a sudden, everything was funny. And the guy says, I want to hear what he's got to say. The kid was saying, wasn't a kid, he was a man in his 20s. But so I want to hear what he's got to say. What he's saying is making sense. What he's saying is making sense. I was just making jokes. But it came out as omniscience rather than mere joking, kidding around. None of that stuff would have ever happened had I not surrendered completely. None of that stuff would have ever happened. And then I walked out, and the license will show up in the mail in a couple of days. But it was just, now the next thing that's come up is it's income tax time. I have to get my taxes done. Well, you know how ego always takes a molehill and turns it into a mountain. Just turn it, it'll be fine. I'll get the right papers, I'll do the right thing, I'll fill out the right thing, I'll give it to the guy, and it'll all be taken care of. And I'll get a refund. And is any of that important? No, it's a dream. Come on.
Right. Tell them about your left eye too.
My what?
Your left eye.
Oh yeah, right. My left eye's got really good vision. My right eye doesn't. And when I got to that vision machine, the lady said, "You don't wear glasses?" I said, "No, I don't wear glasses. I wear glasses." How could you? You don't wear glasses? And again, I opened my mouth, and the right words came out. I said, "Well, no, but I do have dyslexia," and I explained the whole thing, and whatever I said, she bought. Because I was just in my head, I was saying to her, I love you, 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 I love you. And all of a sudden, there was no problem with the vision in my right eye, and I passed. But this dilemma that Lynn has come up with about going to Bali, just let it go. It'll be solved, and before you know it, you might be just on a plane, flying to Bali. And be prepared; it is a long flight. You land on you either go through Japan, or the way I did it, you land on an island in the middle of nowhere in the Pacific Ocean, where they refuel, and you get off and you're there for about a half hour, and you're wondering what the heck is going on. But it's like a 12-hour flight or something like that. So be prepared to do a lot of being now. And the other thing about prayer is, when you pray, always know that the prayer is already answered. Jesus made that very clear. And when you pray, don't be praying for stuff like, I want this, I want that, I want that, because you're coming from lack, and you're only going to get that lack. But if you pray that it's already accomplished, it's already done, and I have no attachment to the outcome, it'll be whatever thy will be done, and you'd be amazed what happens. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That's so lovely, Rafi, all of it. I know that thing where, absolutely, it's wonderful when you're in queues or something, just, I love you, or bless you, bless you, bless you. It's lovely. And you create an atmosphere around you, which is just absolutely heavenly, Yes, Dov, you've got your hand up. Hi, Dov. Hi, Happy. You're muted, though.
And Dove, in your book, you said, if all you see is love, then you're being your true self. I just read that page last night.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. I think Jesus raises my hand because I never consciously raise my hand. I really don't. So I notice my hand goes up here in this group for some reason. I will say I didn't hear the beginning when Lynn talked about Bali, but I see that as a golden opportunity. Everybody wants to go to Bali. Ram Dass spent a lot of his years in Bali, sitting on the beach and said, I'm in paradise. And then he went home to Boston, and his father said, what are you going to do for getting a job? And he realized he wasn't Ram Dass anymore. He was Richard Alpert.
That's good. Oh, lovely. Oh, thank you all so much.
Well, do we want to read the poem again?
Does somebody else would like to read it? I would like to.
Let me see.
Rubina, do you want to read it? Rubina, would you like to read it? Don't feel obliged to speak fast.
Oh, I don't know where it's at. Is it in the chat?
It's right here, right here.
Okay, thank you. Let me see. Hopefully I can do it justice here. A healing miracle power poem. On Thursday, food poisoning had rendered me violently ill. My body felt like it had been ground through a mill. It was kind of torture, and I thought I would die. But then I looked at Jesus, and in him, the healing lied. There was a sudden explosion, the details I won't share, but a miracle occurred as a result of this prayer. From hence was a healing, and I started to recover, and I was inquired in this. I came to discover how the healing came about and what is prayer really, because to me it was a miracle as I saw clearly. It's about the sacred pause from the mental neurosis, and turning to Jesus, I was freed from the hypnosis. Just in that second of appealing to a higher power, surrender occurred and saved the hour. Not through my thinking of any spiritual thoughts, but just stopping for that moment reestablished my source. I saw there was an arrogance and a lack of humility in moaning and groaning and only seeing the futility of all my human efforts with the crisis unabated, and my mind caught in a drama which it escalated. Yet when I asked Jesus for healing and gazed at his image, first there was an eruption, and then at the end, the scrimmage. I canceled all my plans and had seemed so inviting. To play music with friends would have been so delighting. Instead, I've been mute and still for days, but the peace has been extraordinary at my gaze, has been solely on him, the Christ within. Oh, it's beautiful. And here I am convulsing in my garden by the stream.
Convalescing.
Oh, convalescing. That was it, convulsing. Wow, okay, where are we going with this? Convalescing in my garden by the stream, absorbing the sunshine in this rapturous stream, with permission to drop all my agendas so demanding, feeling a peace that goes beyond understanding. And now a duck's quacking, and now the garlic smell of cooking. God's materializing everywhere, wherever I'm looking. Ah, that's beautiful. Thank you.
No, we haven't finished yet. There's
Oh,
more.
yes. We can give ourselves the luxury of an empty mind, a sacred pleasure that heals ills of every kind. In this peace, there's no loneliness, no sense of something missing. Time spent in God dispels all my wishing for more things or less things, or things to be somehow moved or changed. In the kingdom within, nothing need to be rearranged. Those three sentences are for me. That's why I pause. I'm sorry. Okay. In the kingdom within, nothing need to be rearranged. Instead, I feel looked after, companioned, and sustained, lacking nothing, needing no one, so that I can be maintained. Even the most perfect soulmate could actually intrude on this feeling of love in which I'm imbued. It's so intimate, so mysterious, it's too hard to describe. I wouldn't want to search for words or even to try. And that's a beautiful painting of Jesus. What a hottie. That's all I have to say.
That's by Akian Kramaric. Yeah, painted when she was 8 years old. Yeah, you can look at that online. Thank you so much, Robin. Do you want to say anything about why those lines hit you? The one about not rearranging.
We're planning a move. I live in Mexico. Right now I'm in California, but I live in Mexico with my husband. And we live in an area that is hurricane. We're tired of packing every year, packing everything from the stove to the refrigerator down to the gnat's ass, as they call it. And so we're at the point where we don't want to do that anymore. So we're looking to sell it. And so in my mind, I'm rearranging. Life should be here in the next 6 months. And I just need to cool it. That's all.
Yeah.
And it will be naturally evolving the way it needs to be, rather than me plotting and planning, and rearranging the future, which doesn't even exist.
We rearrange, don't we, the mental furniture all the time. It kind of gets in the way. Yes, Dov.
I just want to say I like that line that you put in, and even the most perfect soulmate would seem to intrude. That's so true. I mean, I do live alone with my dog Happy, and I'm thinking the most perfect soulmate would still seem to intrude.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Dove, absolutely. It was just that I remember I was that intruding person decades ago when I was married, and my husband was a very spiritual person. He had been meditating for about 14 years before I even started. Anyway, we went to this church and he had a real spiritual experience. And then for the next few days, he just clammed up. He wouldn't speak. And as a young wife, I found this really infuriating and difficult. And he just and I could see that he just couldn't find the words, and I was an intrusion in trying to ask him to do that. And when I was in the garden the other day and feeling this incredible intimate sort of relationship with Christ or with whatever, it just felt so lovely. I thought there's just nobody that I could possibly want here at this moment, and I wouldn't want to try and describe it. It would just make a mockery of what I felt, because you get to a place where it's indescribable. So I know that feeling of, when it almost feels like an intrusion, because our soulmate is God. That's what we carry with us. Yeah. Anyway, I just want to thank you all so much. It's just so lovely, and wow, it's just been amazing. So thank you all, and I'll send the email out with, as usual, with the video and the poem and everything. And see you next week. And